So here's a story about a player that may sound familiar to you. A high school player tells me he needs to prepare for his tryouts. One test the player tells me they're going to evaluate his hitting on is putting the machine on high velocity. The background story of this player is this. Historically, he does not hit high velocity pitching very well. He can't hit fast pitching. So we got about 10 days to get him ready for this high velocity test on the machine. The most common approach that players use and coaches use to help players hit faster pitching is they try to increase their bat speed. There's a variety of things that players use to try to get faster bat speed. They can attach bands to their hips, they can swing a heavier bat, they could do those drills where you toss the balls really fast at the person so they're swinging like a machine gun. Or they could try one of these newest trends where they lay the bat flat and try to snap it through the zone. We didn't do any of those. In fact, swinging the bat faster wasn't even discussed with this player. It was actually discouraged to try to swing faster. What we did was revolutionary. I taught the player this concept. Stop trying to hit the ball. You heard me right. Stop trying to hit the ball and replace it with this concept. Try to outsee the ball. This concept of trying to outsee the ball rests in the lap of hitting neuroscience. A basic platform a neuroscientist will tell you while watching a player hit a baseball is that the hitter is trying to create a dynamic interceptive motor skill. In order to proficiently perform this motor skill, the hitter is required to use eye-to-hand coordination, meaning the eye is directing the hand. It's not hand-eye where the hand is directing the eye, or the shoulder directs the eye, or the hip directs the eye. It's the eye directing the body. And what, of course, is directing the eye? It's your brain. And in order to successfully hit a baseball, your brain has to interpret the information from the eyes about the ball's speed, about the ball's space, and the depth the ball is moving through and across. Now, once you understand this premise, now we can begin to help train the hitters to think faster than the ball is moving. And that's what we did with this player. In a matter of 5 visits, the player was modestly hitting pitches at 75 miles an hour. Then he got the pitches up to 80 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour. When we were done, he was hitting pitches in the low 90s. Not once did we talk about getting more bat speed. Not once did we talk about creating more torque. Not once we talk about trying to create more hand speed. What I taught this player was to understand predetermined spaces, to look at hitting like it's a race. There's a starting line and there's a finish line. That white streak that the ball creates is going to have a beginning and that it's going to have an end. My job was to teach this player how to time his vision to get to the beginning of the white streak just before the ball got to the beginning of the white streak. Both when I pitched batting practice to this player and when we used the machine, I taught the player how to use the concept of the common denominator to time your vision. Elite hitters have a mechanism inside the brain that they just understand how to get there. And they understand how to time their vision naturally. The problem is they don't know how to explain it. They don't know how to put it into words. And this is why I become an asset for many hitters, because I can explain to hitters how to time their vision. I can explain to hitters how to naturally make the ball appear slower. It's because I'm teaching players how to interpret visual demands and visual patterns. I'm teaching players how to recognize predetermined spaces. This is a very delicate process and it takes a lot of time and a lot of my research to help players get this right. Have you ever asked yourself why a lot of lefties are held back from hitting against premier lefty pitchers? I mean, is there something wrong with their mechanics when they face a lefty pitcher? I mean, does their vision get worse because the lefty hitter faces the lefty pitcher? They go from having 20/12 vision to like 20/50 vision? Of course it doesn't. What changes is that the lefty hitter doesn't interpret the information about the ball quick enough. In many of these instances, the lefty hitter is not familiar with the visual demands and visual patterns that's being put on him. Because the lefty hitter is not familiar with the visual demands when he bats against a lefty pitcher, there's a delay in processing the information about the ball. Once you know all these formulas and all these patterns and techniques, then we can teach them to lefty hitters, and then they can effectively hit the lefty pitchers. Here's one more for you. Hitting coaches. Have you ever worked with players who are 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, or 12 years old? Typically speaking, what kind of vision do those kids have? Most players and hitters this age may have vision between 2012, 2020, 2025. So they're categorized as having good vision. But the parents tell you, my son can't hit a game. So logically, as a researcher, with that information, I may have to reason out that having good vision isn't necessarily the reason why hitters are good hitters. After you work with that young player and you got his swing mechanics looking really good, and he's got good swing mechanics and he's got good vision, and they come back to you and they say, wow, my son's still not hitting in a game. With over 30 years of hitting research, I've been up and down this street, I've been up and down this avenue, up and down this highway. Then what makes a good hitter? You have to rule out his swing mechanics, and then you have to rule out his vision because he's got good vision. What makes elite hitters is the ability to quickly process the speed, the space, and the depth the ball is passing through. And in order to do this, you need to have good timing of your vision. Your eyes work like a camera, and the camera has got to get into position to get an image and information and data about the ball. And once the eyes get into position to get the information and data about the ball, it's the brain. The brain has to interpret and process this information. So here's some good news. I've done all the research for you. We can teach your son, we can teach your daughter the value of timing your vision. All this and more is packed into our online hitting course, the 6.0 Best Hitting Drill Ever. From the 6.0 Best Hitting Drill Ever, video number 6.6 specifically teaches hitters how to time your vision based upon your athletic disposition. The 6.6 video, I even have it marked as the most important video of this online course. As plain as I can say it, you need to get this because no one else is talking about this element. Stop putting this off and stop delaying your son or daughter's development. This is too important. They're worth it. Let's get this done. When you order our 6.0 online hitting course, if you pay a little extra, I will come to your hometown and visit and work with your son or daughter face to face. Or come to Anna, Texas, and let's work together at the KIRILLOFF Baseball School. And here's one more important note. Consider this. Change your mind. Give Jesus Christ a try because he's ready to bless your life.